Hey folks, Dr. Joe Esposito here. Hope everybody's having a great day. And we're going to talk about something today that I see a lot, not only in my professional life, but in my personal life, and a complaint that a lot of people have. And they come to me and say, Dr. Joe, I'm just tired all the time. I'm just burned out. And now, there could be a lot of different reasons why you're burned out. And we're going to discuss what those signs are, so you might not even realize it. I want you to start looking for the warning signs to see if you're burned out. And if you are, what you need to do to fix that. Now, there could be some serious issues, too, so I just want to, preface that by saying I was just talking to one of my coworkers here at the studio, and he has a brain tumor, and it looks like it's a benign tumor, but he said, I was just tired all the time. He says, I used to work out. I used to hike 5-10 miles, and he says, I couldn't even walk a couple of blocks. I was exhausted, and when they did blood work, they found it. So it could be something serious, but I'm going to guess major majority of patients, I was going to say 99%, but I'm not sure if that's right. It's things that you have control over. So let's talk about that. Your body has a lot of different ways to warn you that the stress you're under is not sustainable. You just can't keep the pace. Now, a lot of you think, because I know you're tough like me, and you say, I can do this. It doesn't matter. I'll just muscle through it. Sometimes you have to muscle through things. I'm not saying that's never a good idea, but many times you think you're going to muscle through something, and you're actually causing more damage. And as a chiropractor, first time you're joining us, I'm board certified in chiropractic, orthopedics, pain management, double board certified in nutrition, BS in nutrition, retired dietitian, award-winning author. My radio shows are nationally, now internationally syndicated, and I've been in practice over 32 years. And so a lot of the reason I give you my credentials is I'm telling you, I've been through this. I've played this game before, and I know what we're dealing with. So as a chiropractor, patients come to me and say, well, Dr. Joe, I have pain. And we check their spine out, and they have bones out of place, pinching nerves. And we put the bones back in place, and they feel better, which is great. That's exactly what we want. But you can have a pinched nerve and not know it. And the biggest thing I see with patients is noncompliance. Listen, it's going to take X amount of visits to you to get well, and you start feeling a little better, and you say, I'm not going back there anymore. I feel better. Well, the bones are out of place. They're still out of place, and they're rubbing up against each other, and eventually they start to deteriorate. The discs begin to deteriorate, and you develop arthritis. So you can muscle through certain things, but there comes a point where you have to say, I just can't do this anymore, and I have to get it fixed. So I don't want you to, when you get these warning signs, I don't want you to, I just need more coffee, or I need more stimulants, or I just had a stressful day or a stressful life, and I just can't sleep. Consider the warning signs there for a reason. Just like I tell my patients, pain is a warning sign. It's telling you something's wrong, but after we start treating you and the pain goes away, that doesn't mean you're fixed. Same thing with a lot of these stress signs. Most of us are under a constant barrage of stressful situations, and if we don't allow time for restoration and recovery, the state of chronic burnout occurs and a lot of health issues start to follow. So sometimes the best therapy is nothing. When I say nothing, you have to stop doing everything. You need to take a break. Now, that can be challenging. I totally get that. Because if anybody have kids, raise your hands. Tough time, isn't it, sometimes? Yeah, especially when they're really young and you never get a good night's sleep and everybody's exhausted. And then as you raise them, everything in a kid's life, let me say this, everything in your life is going to change. Nothing is static. Everything changes. And so sometimes it changes for the good and sometimes it changes for the bad. But you're going to have change. But if you're raising kids and you're just burning yourself out, I know I have a friend of mine, and she's a single mom, and she is, I would consider a helicopter parent. She just hovers over the kid constantly. And I said, when was the last time you went out with your friends? When was the last time you went on a date? And I'm not saying she has to date, but I mean just going out with friends. And she says, I can't remember that. I said, okay, maybe you just need to get the kid a babysitter or get some friends. And, I joke about this, and I've joked about it in the past, but it's really something as I'm getting older, I'm realizing a lot of older people who don't have kids around are more than happy to take your kid for a couple of hours. If they've never had children, they get to play aunt or uncle and spend a couple of hours with them, and it's really cool. If they have kids and the kids are grown, they may miss those times. And I say, I'd like to hang out with a 1-year-old or a 2-year-old or a 10-year-old or to a 15-year-old because it was fun when my kids were that age. And so it never hurts to ask. And you'd be surprised how many people will say yes. And sometimes you just need a couple of hours. Sometimes you just want to go to the movies by yourself. Sometimes you just want to sit down and have a cup of tea. And so what I'm getting at is you need to find reasons to relax. That's where I'm going with this. So here's some signs. I'm going to go over some signs that you may be experiencing. If you experience them on a regular basis you really want to investigate whether your current stress management routine is working. Chances are it's not, or else you wouldn't be there. And what you need to do to eliminate some of these stressors from your life. I'm going to talk about what happens when you're stressed too, what organs are affected. It's not just, hey, I'm tired all the time. You're actually depleting certain organs in your body, and that can be really serious when it comes to your health. How about trouble getting up in the morning? Now, there's a hormone that's released from your adrenal glands called cortisol. Now, cortisol is a hormone that's secreted, and it's necessary for stimulating your energy levels in the morning, and that can be lacking due to excessive long-term stress and burnout. So if your cortisol levels, which is supposed to be high in the morning because it's nature's coffee, kind of wakes you up. If your cortisol levels are too low in the morning, that could mean your adrenal glands are not capable of producing enough cortisol to get you moving. Well, let me back up a little bit. What the heck's an adrenal gland? Your adrenal glands are little glands. They sit on top of your kidneys. They're about the size of a walnut. And I've dissected them before. I've cut them open. When you look at them, they have 3 layers. And one layer produces adrenaline to produce energy, and one level produces something called pregnenolone. Pregnenolone becomes something called DHEA, and DHEA becomes your sex hormones, testosterone, estrogen, progesterone, and not just the act of, but the function of male and female hormones, muscle building. You need testosterone to build and maintain good muscle, not just your biceps and your triceps. How about your heart? How about your colon? How about your blood vessels? These are all muscles too. So you need testosterone levels, and so many of us have depleted testosterone levels. If you're under stress, DHEA does not become your sex hormones. It becomes cortisol. And some cortisol good, too much cortisol bad. It's your stress hormone. And one of the things that cortisol does to you is it causes you to lay down fat. And fat produces estrogen, which also causes you to lay down fat. So a little bit of stress hormone, a little bit of cortisol in the morning, bam, get you up and running. You're under stress. Your body's got to get moving. But if you have too much of it, you actually start to put on weight. Remember years ago when I first started studying biochemistry and nutrition, we learned that if you ate 3,500 calories too much, you gained a pound. If you burned off 3,500 calories, you lost a pound. Very simple math. A lot more to it than that. Now we find things like cortisol and estrogen can cause you to lay down fat. We find things like estrogen-disrupting chemicals, plastics, the smell of plastics, new car smell, carpet cleaners, air fresheners, scented candles, perfumes have chemicals in it that act like estrogen, and that can cause you to lay down fat and cause you to gain weight. So before 1980s, back in the, way back when in the 70s, if you can remember it back that far, in the 60s, I'm going to sound like an old man here, it was a simpler life. We didn't have all the chemicals and stressors that we're putting ourselves under today. And so we've got to be careful about that because it's not just about food anymore. It's about a lifestyle that causes you to lay down fat. And when you're under stress, and we are under a lot of stress, everybody's got, a bazillion things they have to do. The cortisol levels go up. You're under stress, cause you to gain weight along with other things too. But cortisol is bad. So if you're having a real tough time waking up in the morning, it could be that your adrenal glands just can't produce enough cortisol and your body's surrendered, so to speak. Got to get those adrenal glands working. In today's show, we're going to cover a lot of things about adrenal glands because these are one of the key things when we're under stress that we have to fix. You get enough sleep. Anybody do this? You get enough sleep and you're still exhausted? Yeah. I don't know what it is. In fact, I was just talking to one of my coworkers before I went on the air, and I said, how'd you meet your husband? And she was telling me a little story that they met in a hotel lobby, and they started chatting, and she thought he was somebody else, and they started chatting. They exchanged information. A year and a half later, he texted her, and she had his number still on her phone, and now they're married. And she said, you'll give me a call before 9 o'clock. And she said he must have thought I was married because why would you want to call somebody before 9 o'clock? But she had to go to sleep to wake up at 3 o'clock to do the morning shift on the radio. I said, oh, okay. See, I'm not, I don't think like a deviant. So I wouldn't think that somebody was married because I would assume that, if you're married, you don't give out your phone number. But it was just fascinating that she was telling the story, and it kind of tied into the show today, which was kind of cool, that if you're getting enough sleep, you should function normally. If you're not getting enough sleep, like she said, don't call me after 9 o'clock. Your body, if you are getting enough sleep, something's wrong. And so you need to rest and you need to recover. And if you end up feeling tired and unrefreshed, it could be a sign that you're burned out. Now, burned out's an interesting phrase, but your adrenal glands can actually burn out. not physically catch fire, but they become depleted. They can no longer produce the DHEA, the pregnenolone, the prostaglandins, which moderate inflammation. They can't produce the adrenaline. And so the glands just go, I can't do this anymore. And they just can't produce everything they need. And if one part of the adrenal gland starts to malfunction, the rest of it starts to malfunction. So if you're putting out too much cortisol, it's going to affect your prostaglandins, it's going to affect your adrenaline, it's going to affect your hormones. So those adrenal glands are really important little buggers, and they're so often ignored. Now, another sign that your adrenal glands are burned out is you get bags under your eyes. How many people have the puffy chronic bags under their eyes? Raise your hands. A lot of you. I know you do. I see you. And, sometimes we do get bags under our eyes when we're tired, but then we rest and it heals. But the problem is you're having this inflammatory reaction causing the bags to occur under your eyes, and your body can't mediate that with prostaglandins, and so the puffiness stays. And so you can put on lotions and potions and topical creams. The problem isn't from the outside in, it's from the inside out. And most healthcare addresses from the outside in, and most health treatment needs to be from the inside out. I mean, I'm a chiropractor. I always look inside the body. Do you have pinched nerves? Are your organs spasmed? Is your stomach pushed up against your diaphragm? And so many times we have to physically manipulate the spine, the muscles, the organs. You can move an organ, by the way, folks, and move things around because it's physically out of place. The problem is on the inside. And I have patients every single day come into my offices, and they come into our offices and say, Doc, this is my bag of drugs. This is my bag of supplements. I'm still not getting the results I want. The reason is their problem is physical, not chemical. And chemical can lead to physical, as we're talking about the adrenal glands. If you do too much coffee, if you drink too much alcohol, it can cause physical problems with your liver. Too much coffee can burn out your adrenal glands. So a lot of times the chemical leads to the physical, but then you have to fix the chemical and the physical. That make sense? Say yes. I can't hear you. I'm on the radio. So if you said yes, I'm a little worried about you. So look to the physical when it comes to healthcare, because that really is the missing link. You want to look to the spine. Hippocrates said, look to the spine for the cause of all disease. Because if bones are out of alignment, pinching nerves, the messages from the brain can't get to the body. So now the brain can't tell the liver, the spleen, the kidneys, the toenails, the earwax to function normally, and many times the organs malfunction. So what do we have to do? Open up the nerve supply, unpinch the nerves, and fix the chemistry. Get the diet right. Get you on supplements. I take something called Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source every day. You should too, by the way. It's on my website. It's a great product. And I have it sitting right here in front of me. And right before I went on the air, my producer, Ahmad, said to me, he says, now, Doc, he says, I've been doing this and this. He says, what do you think about adding beet powder when I work out? And beet powder has something in it called nitrates. And nitrates open up your blood vessels, and so you get a good workout. But it also gives you energy. It helps your brain work better. It helps in the romantic department because you need blood flow. And I said, absolutely, you can add some beet powder to it if you want. Now, beet powder isn't the tastiest thing in the world, so some people don't like it. But I recommend if you're going to do beet powder, buy it in bulk. Beet, B-E-E-T, I'm saying, like red beets, beet powder. And you can buy it in bulk if you want to. It's cheaper that way. And maybe a teaspoon a day. And that's something else that can help open up your blood vessels and increase circulation and make you feel like a kid again. Just a fun little thing you can add to your repertoire as we're talking about, are you burned out? But if there's a physical problem, you got to get the physical problem fixed or else the chemical isn't going to work as well. If you have a healthcare problem, maybe you have neck pain, back pain, shoulder pain, numbness, tingling, headaches. How many people have any of those? Raise your hands. If you didn't raise your hand, you're lying. Just about everyone I've ever met has some type of physical problem. In fact, patients come into our offices all the time and say, Dr. Joe, I have no pain. I just want you to check out my digestive system. I just want to talk about nutrition. And I'll look at them and I'll say, you've got physical problems. And I touch their neck. Oh, that hurts. So if you have neck pain, back pain, shoulder pain, numbness, and you want to make an appointment to come see us, and I think you should, by the way, go to my website, drjoeesposito.com, or just Google Dr. Joe with the number one Dr. Joe in the world, and you can set up an appointment to come see us. We have offices in Marietta, Duluth, and Stockbridge, and we're more than happy to see if this is something I think we can help. And if it is, we'll tell you. If it's not, we'll tell you that too. If you make an appointment, you got to do two things. Number one, you got to show up, because don't waste my time. I'm being real serious about this. Don't waste my time booking an appointment and not showing up. I'll be real mad at you. Number two, be ready to make some changes. It might be you need chiropractic care. It might mean you need your stomach pulled down away from your diaphragm because you're having acid reflux or burping. Might mean some dietary changes. Might mean supplements. I know you're not going to do everything, but be ready to do something. And if you're not ready to make changes, don't come in. Come in when you're ready because I don't want to waste your time. I don't want to waste mine. So if you want to make an appointment, drjoeesposito.com or just Google Dr. Joe with the number one Dr. Joe in the world, thanks to you. So I want to continue on with warning signs that your body is just burned out and you need to do something about it. Craving salty foods. When you start craving salty foods, chronic stress can lead to something called an electrolyte imbalance, which causes some people to crave salt. Why salt? What the heck are electrolytes? Electrolytes are chemicals, and they're necessary to make your cells work. Sodium, potassium, chlorine. You need electrolytes. Now, you see all these sports commercials. Oh, drink this horribly colored, vibrant neon pink drink, and it's going to give you electrolytes that are depleted when you're an athlete. Well, unless you're functioning at a high competitive level, the chances are you and me going for a hike on a Tuesday afternoon is not going to deplete electrolytes. And if you really want to replenish your electrolytes, it's better to get it from whole food. Whole food would be, bananas, avocados. In fact, my new book, it's called Eating Right for the Health. My new book is called Prescription for Extreme Health. I have too many books out now. Prescription for Extreme Health. I have a whole chapter specifically. It's a bonus chapter just for athletes. And if you really want to replenish your electrolytes, you can just eat a half a banana and take a little bit of air-dried sea salt and water and drink that. Again, only if you're doing extreme work. If you're just going out for a half-hour jog, you don't have to replenish your electrolytes. If you're going to go to the gym and work out for an hour lifting weights, you don't need to replenish your electrolytes. You're fine. I mean, yeah, it's a marketing tool, and it works real well. People buy the product, but in most cases, it's not necessary. But if you start craving salty foods and you're burned out, you could be trying to get electrolytes into your body to help the adrenal glands do their job more efficiently. So if you're going to do salt, there's good salt and there's bad salt. Let's talk about the good salt. Air-dried or Celtic sea salt. That's it. Pink salt, black salt, brown salts, these are all pretty good if they're air-dried, but if they're white salt, absolutely positively not. Because we take good, healthy salt, air-dried sea salt, for example, take out the minerals. Usually there's over 70 minerals in air-dried sea salt. And we sell those minerals as supplements. Do you ever wonder where supplements come from? Well, a lot of the mineral supplements come from salt. And then what's left is sodium chloride. And then we add some other chemicals and anti-caking agents. And then we sell that as table salt. That's really bad for you. Whole food air-dried sea salt, good for you. In fact, I recommend everybody do about a half a teaspoon of air-dried sea salt a day. You don't have to be exact. Just add it to your food. Because it does have minerals in it that we're not getting because our soil that we grow our food in is so depleted. Even organic soil is way better, but it's still depleted in many cases. So something like air-dried sea salt is really something you want to consider adding to your diet because it's going to replace a lot of minerals that you didn't know you lost. Pretty cool stuff. That's a little fun fact for you. But I want to discuss, we're talking today about are you burned out? And if you are, you got to be careful because it can lead to serious problems. Now, the nerve supply to the adrenal gland. The nerve supply to the adrenal gland is right below the bra strap. So ladies or gentlemen, depending what you do in life, if you check right below your bra strap, if you have pain in that area, and you may not have pain regularly, but if you push there, push a little bit, and it's tender, that could be a sign that you have a pinched nerve going into your adrenal glands. And as a chiropractor, that's what we do. My team of doctors and I, we want to look for the pinched nerves because it's not only pain we're worried about, it's pinching nerves to organs. And if you pinch the nerve to the adrenal glands, guess what? Adrenal glands can't work, or kidneys too. I've seen so many cases lately with kidney failure, stage 1 to stage 4 kidney failure. Been in practice a long time. 30 years ago, I didn't see all these kidney failure conditions, and now I do. And I believe a lot of it has to do with the chemicals we're putting in our body. As I go off on a tangent here, because kidneys and adrenals are connected to each other, also I think the craze of the high-protein diet has put a lot of stress on the kidneys and the adrenal glands. And I'm really scared for people that are on these high-protein diets because your body can't process too much protein. So what I want you to consider is not going on a high-protein diet, but going on more of a high-fat diet. Fat, if it's good fat, it's got to be good fat, by the way. So what's a good fat? Olives, avocados, olive oil, macadamia nuts. These are all good sources of fat. Coconut oil. Coconut oil. You have to add coconut oil into your life. That's it. I'm going to tell you, just have to add it into your life. Get some organic, extra virgin coconut oil and use it for everything. If you're worried about wrinkles around your face when you go to bed at night, rub it on your skin. If you have a rash, you can put it on there. Works great for diaper rash. I don't know if, and most of you listening probably don't have diaper rash, but, as we get older, sometimes we do. So you might want to consider that as well. But I probably eat about a tablespoon of coconut oil every day because coconut oil is loaded with medium-chain fatty acids, which is really good for your immune system. It has something in it called lauric acid. Lauric acid helps stimulate your immune system. You know where else we find lauric acid? Mother's milk. So lauric acid is great for the immune system. So lauric acid you want to add to the immune system, to your diet. Coconut oil is medium-chain fatty acids. It's a good saturated fat. There's bad saturated fats and there's good saturated fats. Coconut oil is a good saturated fat. And what's really cool, I'll tell you a little trick I do, is if you get hungry and you're trying to lose weight, of course, we need to cut down on the amount of junk we put in our bodies. But sometimes you just get hungry and you just want to keep eating. Anybody like that aside from me? I guess I was the only one then. Yeah, okay, because none of you ever do that. What I do is I take Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source, which everyone should be taking every day anyway, because it's the minimum amount of nutrients you need to get your day going. And then I'll take with it, I'll shake it, I'll put it in a glass jar. I use a glass jar, and I shake it up because they are powders. And I use coconut milk or almond milk. And then I'll take a tablespoon or two of coconut oil with it first thing in the morning, and it really holds you over. Because when you're hungry, fat helps to make you feel satisfied. Your stomach produces a chemical called leptin. Leptin is released from your stomach into the blood and goes up into your hypothalamus in your brain and tells you that you're full. When you put a lot of fat in your diet, it makes you feel full. So a tablespoon or two of extra virgin organic coconut oil along with Super Greens and Essential Source, I find is a spectacular combination to help curb my appetite. And then I can usually go pretty easily to lunch and not have a problem. So it might be something you want to consider as well. And the Super Greens and Essential Source, they're on my website, drjoeesposito.com. My book, Eating Right for the Health of It, is my first book. Prescription for Extreme Health just came out a couple of weeks ago. That's a great book also. They're on my website as well. Also, we archive radio shows there. If you miss something, if you want to learn more, we have the radio shows archived, hundreds of hours. And cost for all this, cost for the radio shows, absolutely free. And I videotape my live lectures. So if you want to come out to a live lecture, they're a lot of fun. Check my website, see if I'm in your area. And most of them are free. Sometimes I do. I do a lot of corporate ones, too. A lot of times corporate companies will hire me, and I'll come in and do speeches because they want to increase their productivity. And people have burnout, for example. And I'll go in and do corporate workshops as well. I can't invite you to them because, of course, they're closed. But the open public forum workshops are usually free, and they're a lot of fun. I videotape them and put them on my YouTube channel. And there's a link to my YouTube channel through the website, or go right to YouTube, drjoeesposito.com, or just Google Dr. Joe. You can order books, supplements. If you have questions, send me questions through the website. I'm more than happy to answer your questions for you. A lot of people say, well, Dr. Joe, I don't know what to do about this. Send me a question. I'll answer it for you. It's all there, drjoeesposito.com, or just Google Dr. Joe. Now, if you'd like to make an appointment to come see us, maybe it's neck pain, back pain, maybe you've been in a car accident, any time in your life. If the car was damaged, you were damaged 100% of the time. And I don't care if it was yesterday or 10 weeks ago or 50 years ago. If you have damage to your body, bones are out of place, and you don't put them back in place properly, chances are they're going to wear out, pinch nerves, and it's going to really make your life miserable and perhaps even shorten your life. So why are you waiting? What are you waiting for? I always ask that question. What did you wait so long for? How long have you had this problem? 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. Why did you wait so long to come here? I know, Dr. Joe. I've been following you for years. I listen to your shows. I attend your lectures. I read your books. I take your supplements. But it's time I finally got in here. So don't be one of my patients who say, why didn't I do this sooner? If you want to make an appointment, we accept most major medical insurances, car accidents, sports injuries. Go to my website right now. You can book it right online, or you can give us a call, and we'll set you up, drjoeesposito.com, or just Google Dr. Joe. Dr. Joe Esposito is all one word. Because my team of doctors and I, we have one goal. We want to be your doctors. We want to prove to you that getting the nervous system working, the digestive system working, and getting good nutrition involved in your life is going to dramatically change your life for the better. And like I said, so many people say, why didn't I do this sooner? I don't want you to be one of them. Folks, got to go to a break. My website, drjoeesposito.com. Don't go anywhere. We're going to be right back. Hey, folks, thanks for staying with me. I am Dr. Joe Esposito. We're talking today, or asking a question today, are you burned out? And if you're burned out, what does it mean? And we covered a lot about adrenal glands because the adrenal glands are big players when it comes to your body just being exhausted. I also want to cover a little bit of thyroid in just a few minutes as well because so many people have thyroid issues, and I'm going to tell you how to tell the difference between adrenal problems and thyroid problems and then things you can do about it. So a couple more things I want to cover. I want to discuss. Are you burned out? Reliance on caffeine and sugar to get through the day. How many people do that? Raise your hands. That's about 85% of you. I think the last stat I read was I think 80 or 85% of people use some type of stimulant every single day. Now, caffeine and sugar might make you feel like you have a boost of energy, but you're not able to go without them. That's a sign that your energy reserves and resilience are not handling stress very well. Now, coffee does not give you energy, caffeine. Caffeine actually stops you from getting tired. Isn't that the same thing? Not really. So what happens is you drink caffeine or eat caffeine, chocolate or whatever, and caffeine goes into your body and gets absorbed. And in your brain, you have a chemical called adenosine. Adenosine is released into your brain. Your brain absorbs adenosine at adenosine receptor sites, and you get tired. That's pretty much a simple way of how it works. Caffeine looks like adenosine. So when you drink caffeine or eat caffeine, it goes into your brain and blocks up the adenosine receptor sites, which prevents you from absorbing adenosine, which prevents you from getting tired. So you're not really getting energy. You're preventing your body from resting, which ironically is what you need to get energy. So when you drink one cup of coffee, your body says, okay, I'm going to block up those adenosine receptor sites. And then what happens is your brain says, I need rest. And you, young man, young lady, are not giving me rest. So I'm going to produce more adenosine receptor sites. And so then you produce more adenosine receptor sites, and then the coffee isn't working anymore. So what do? You get more and more and more and more. Not a good situation, is it? And that's why when one cup of coffee used to work, now it takes 2 and 4 and 6 and 10 and 12 because you've used up your adenosine receptor sites. So we don't want that happening, do we? So if you're trying to come off coffee, and I think you should, or any caffeine, I think you should because it's very dangerous because caffeine is an acid. Coffee's an acid. Tea's an acid. And when you put acid in your body has to neutralize the acid. The body uses calcium as its primary neutralizing agent. So now we're using up our calcium stores from our blood, from our bones, to neutralize the acid in your coffee. I had a patient come in the other day, and she was hell-bent on the fact that she ate a great diet. I ate a great diet. I don't know why I have osteoporosis. Okay, you really, well, then it's a hormonal issue. Those are very, very rare. Most cases, it's strictly diet. We got to get you off the acid foods. So I had to write down what she eats. Well, dun, dun, dun. Guess what? She doesn't eat a good diet. She's drinking coffee. I only have 3 or 4 cups a day. All right, well, that's an acid. Then she's eating meat. Well, I don't eat a lot of meat. Okay, meat's an acid. Then she eats a lot of sugar, breads, cookies, cakes, donuts, pastas. Those are acids. So she's putting all these acid foods in her body, neutralizing the acid with the calcium, depleting the bones, and now you got the osteoporosis. So I said, let's do this. Let's change our diet really radically for 6 months. And if I'm right, which I probably am, we can have the bones tested again, and we'll see if you have any bone increase density. If I'm wrong, then we can consider another option, because she wasn't at the point where it was serious, like it was going to kill her. And so hopefully she's going to listen to me. I don't know, because we want her to, because I've had tons of cases listen to me, and they go back, and the doctor says, oh, my God, Margaret, Louise, your osteoporosis is improving. How could that be? You're not taking the medication I prescribed. How could it be better? And they explain the whole process of acid and calcium depletion. And the doctor goes, I've heard this a lot. I've never thought of it like that before. Well, whatever you're doing, keep doing it. And I hear it time and time and time again. So it's not really a secret that this works, but it is a secret that doctors don't know it. And I don't know why doctors don't know that secret. It's really obvious. Stop putting acid in your body. So sugar, by the way, and I'll cover a little bit more sugar if I have time today. Sugar is an acid, robs the body of calcium, but also weakens your immune system. Now, part of fatigue is that your body's trying to rest so it can heal. And if you keep depleting your immune system by eating things like sugar, you're going to get tired a lot because your immune system is busy trying to fight off the viruses, germs, bacteria, and pathogens. and it doesn't have time to just give you plain old energy. And so in my new book, Prescription for Extreme Health, which if you don't have a copy, you should get, we talk about sugar and depleting the immune system. And I think I got my numbers right here. If you have 1 can of soda, well, if you have a normal white blood cell, that white blood cell can usually kill off 14 pathogens, viruses, germs, bacteria, before it dies. If you drink a can of soda, that same white blood cell can kill off 1 pathogen before it dies. So you're blowing out your immune system when you eat sugar, which causes severe fatigue because the body needs to rest in order to heal. Make sense? So if you're one of those sugar addicts, like I guess we all are, because sugar stimulates the nucleus accumbens in the brain, and when that's stimulated, it releases dopamine, the pleasure neurotransmitter in your brain, and you're getting high. So that's what sugar does. So does cocaine. So does heroin. So does a lot of drugs. But sugar's a drug, and it stimulates the part of the brain that releases the dopamine. It stimulates the dopamine receptor sites. Not a good idea. And if you're getting blood sugar swings, chronic stress can wreak havoc on your blood sugar balance. Cause you to have energy highs and lows throughout the day. Anybody get like that? I had burned out adrenal glands for years, and I've been treating them for years, and I'm doing a lot better because I always had horrible sinus problems, runny nose, baggy eyes. I look at pictures of me as a kid. My eyes had more bags under my eyes when I was a teenager than I have now. People always say I look about 15 years younger, 20 years younger than I am, which is pretty cool with me. I'm fine with that. And it's not that I have some magic gene or I have some, special bullet that I've used. No. I just didn't age myself. And it works. Pays off, by the way. Talk about super greens and essential source. I have a condition called macular degeneration, which essentially you go blind from. And I went to my eye doctor. Who was diagnosed, 4 or 5 years ago. And the doctor said, yeah, this is not good. It's really an advanced stage. And as it gets worse, you're probably going to lose your vision. That's it. That was his answer. He says, I can get you on some supplements, maybe lutein and zeaxanthin. That might help slow it down a little bit. But unfortunately, you have a really bad case of it. So that's when I started taking Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source every day. I kind of made them for myself, not for you. And 2 years later, I had my eyes examined, and he was actually shaking when he looked at my eyes, and he says, oh, my gosh, you're improving. Dramatically improving. Nobody ever improves from macular degeneration. My condition is called drusen. And I said, well, I'm taking Super Greens and Essential Source. And he said, wow. So I went back this year. Was this year? Yeah, I went back one more time to him, and then this year I went back to his associate. And his associate, she took a picture of my eyes, and she had never seen anything like this before. She was young, fresh out of college. And she said, can I use your case for teaching purposes? I said, absolutely. She goes, because this never gets better. And now we have documented proof that it can improve. I said, yes. And send all your patients to my website and get Dr. Joe Super Greens, Dr. Joe's Essential Source. And she said, I will. That's how cool this stuff is. So I didn't, plan on it actually being just for macular degeneration, but it seems to do amazing things with that. But if you have blood sugar swings, that's where I was going with this, the Super Greens, the Essential Source, can help stabilize your blood sugar. But when my adrenal glands were so burned out, man, it was tough. I'd go, I'd be up and then I'd be crashing in the middle of the day and I couldn't figure out why. I wanted to go to bed. I'd be at parties with my friends. I was exhausted. And a lot of that was adrenal fatigue. And so once I stabilized my adrenal glands, and I take supplements called Withenia, I take Eleuthero. There's other adrenal supplements you can take too. Ashwagandha is another one, which is Withenia. And that helps feed the adrenal glands. And that helps with energy, helps with inflammation, and it helps with romantic function. Because remember, prostaglandin becomes DHEA, becomes your testosterone. And the adrenal glands produce that. Now, if you had never heard me say that before, that's what it is. The adrenal glands produce pregnenolone, which becomes DHEA, which then becomes testosterone, estrogen, progesterone, or it becomes cortisol, which is your stress hormone. So when you're under stress, you don't feel very romantic or function very romantically because you're under stress. Because the cortisol is stealing the DHEA so it doesn't become testosterone. There's a little chemistry for you there, huh? All right, so blood sugar swings. So the adrenals, like I said, there are certain supplements you can take. You want to check the pinched nerves. Check the nerves in the mid-back because those are the nerves that control your adrenal glands right below the bra strap area. So if you have pain there, it could be adrenal issue. Cutting out your coffee. Oh, I was going to tell you this. That's right, a while ago. I forgot to tell you this. In my first book, Eating Right for the Health of It, I have a chapter called Kicking the Habit. And if you drink a lot of coffee and you want to get off it, and you should, I recommend this. Take a cup of coffee, put it in front of you. No cream, no sugar, just plain old black coffee. And every hour, I want you to take a tablespoon or two of the coffee. It's going to give you just enough chemicals in caffeine and bromines and isotheobromines and phyllenes and other chemicals that are in caffeine drinks. And it's going to give you just enough to get you through to the next hour. And if you do this, probably take you about 3 or 4 days to kick your coffee habit. First of all, coffee's not good for you. Second of all, it's very expensive. And even if you're drinking just the cheap stuff, I just had a sip of tea right there as we were talking. Even if you're drinking the cheap stuff, it still has a lot of chemicals in it, acids, and it's probably one of the most sprayed foods on the market. When I say sprayed, the most chemicals. So we've got to be careful with that as well. We talked about the bags under the eyes. If you have bags under the eyes, that could be a sign that you have adrenal problems. So let's talk about the difference between the adrenal glands and the thyroid gland, because a lot of people don't know the difference, or they say, well, doc, I got tested for my thyroid and I'm normal, but they never tested your adrenals. And we can do adrenal tests in our office, by the way. We have a saliva test that we can do, and we can actually come in and just kind of fill up these cotton balls, basically, with spit, and we can send it off and get it tested. And when I got mine tested originally, sure enough, man, my cortisol levels were high, which means I was under stress. Luckily, I hadn't gotten into the burnout stage yet, and I addressed it. So adrenal problems. You wake up at midnight or after. Could be an adrenal problem. Craving, we talked about salts or sugars because you get the electrolytes. Generally exhausted after exercise. And intolerant to heat. Thyroid problems. You sleep too long. Adrenal glands keep waking up. Craves carbohydrates and fats, not so much sugar, not so much salt, but carbohydrates and fats. You feel better after exercise, and you're intolerant to cold. Thyroid is cold, adrenal is heat. Adrenal is you're tired after exercise. Thyroid is you feel better after exercise. And so, again, we can do tests for you. We can do blood work and salivary tests and everything. But these are some things you can start looking for yourself. Now, adrenal fatigue, the adrenal glands are little glands that sit on top of your kidneys, and they produce adrenaline. Fatigue, of course, is the number one situation we're going to have. But a lot of people, women, of course, with premenstrual syndrome or PMS or premenstrual tension, that could be an adrenal issue. Mental depression, adrenal issues. Allergies, apprehension, headaches, alcohol intolerance. Boy, that's me, man. Holy cow. I am such a sissy. It was a time, I remember back even in high school, like after football games, we'd all go out drinking because you were allowed, it was illegal, of course, but we did it anyway. And you'd go to somebody's house and somebody have a keg there, and you're like, well, nobody leaves the house, but everybody can drink. And I just remember holding a beer, trying to look cool, because I was this big 210-pound football player with long hair and a beard, and I was mean as heck. And I just threw the beer into the bushes when nobody was looking. I said, all right, give me another one. Trying to look cool. Now, I realized how stupid that was. But even to this day, I can't handle alcohol. Now, there is an enzyme that will help break down alcohol, and some people have it, some people don't. I'm guessing I don't make it. But I remember one time when I was driving back from a lecture. I gave a lecture up in Nashville, I think it was. I was a guest speaker at a conference. And I'm driving back, and I saw a distillery, very famous distillery in Tennessee, and it said, this way. So I drove. I was like 45 minutes off the road, and I come across the distillery. And the funny part is it's in a dry county. If you don't know dry counties, you can't buy alcohol in a dry county. So you can make the alcohol in a dry county, but you couldn't buy it there. And I took a tour of the plant, and they had the mash, the stuff was fermenting to make the whiskey. And they said, you can smell it. So they lifted up the top, and I took a big whiff. I got loaded. That's how much a sissy I am when it comes to alcohol. But that's a good thing. Anyway, back to adrenal problems. I just remember thinking, I can't even drive now. It took me about an hour to recuperate from this big whiff of booze I took. Pain in the neck and trapezius muscles could be adrenal problems. Backache, lightheadedness, constipation, or diarrhea. Again, these can happen from other things as well, but it could be from the adrenals. Thyroid, decreased romance, decreased libido, depression, mental confusion, craving. We talked about carbohydrates and fats. Increased blood lipids. So if you have high blood lipid, fat in your blood, that could be an issue. Ridges on your nails. This is something people come to me all the time, and I'll say, all right, let's check the thyroid gland and see if there's a thyroid issue. We talked about cold intolerance, the throat swelling. Now, what's funny, too, when I do my exams on my patients, and I teach my doctors this, too, there's the Achilles reflex, which is down in your foot. If it's decreased, it could be a sign of thyroid problems. Dry skin, puffy facial puffiness, decreased body temperature below 97 degrees on a regular basis, weight gain, Thinning of the outer 1/3 of your eyebrow could be a thyroid problem. Isn't that interesting? So anyway, these are just some things. If you have them, I don't want you to avoid them. I don't want you to avoid or ignore them. You want to do something about it. So we want to get the body working the best we can. And when it comes to burnout and fatigue, it could be a nutritional issue. You're just not getting enough nutrients. That's why I tell people at least, minimum, take Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source. Because that's going to give you at least the get up and go that you need to get the body working. I love that stuff. I mean, stuff's amazing. And I always have it here in the studio with me. So Super Greens and Essential Source, if you've never taken it, go to my website. It's relatively inexpensive. Try it for a month and notice what happens and see how you feel. Most people, once they start, they want to be on it forever because they feel great. If you have neck pain, back pain, shoulder pain, numbness, tingling, if you've ever been in a car accident, you want to make an appointment to come see us, we would love to have the opportunity to sit down with you, your friends, and your family and check the spine, check the nervous system, check the digestive system, and see if there's something that needs to be fixed. So often patients come into my office and say, Doc, I just want to talk about nutrition. You're the nutrition guru. You're the best in the world, and we want to follow what you say. And that's all I want to talk about. I don't care about pinched nerves or anything like that. And once I check them out, I find many times several pinched nerves, and 98% of the patients go, yeah, Doc, we need to get that fixed too. I didn't realize I had that problem. Thanks for checking me. So if you want to make an appointment, go to my website, drjoeesposito.com, or just Google Dr. Joe, and we'll set you up a time to come in. We'll do a consultation. If we can accept you as a patient, we want to start that day. We want to do exam, x-rays if necessary, start the treatment. Your second visit, we'll go over your x-rays with you, and that's the most important visit because that's the visit we show you what's wrong. X-rays don't lie or exam findings don't lie, and we'll put together a treatment plan for you. So if you want to do it, we accept most major medicals, car accidents, Medicare, sports injuries. We're more than happy to work with you in any way we can to get you there. We have offices in Marietta, Duluth, and Stockbridge. No excuses anymore, folks. We have plenty of offices to serve your needs. Go to my website, drjoeesposito.com, and we'll set you up a time to come in. If you make an appointment, you got to show up and be ready to make some changes. I don't want to waste your time. I don't want to waste my time. If you're serious about wanting to get well, if you're sick and tired of being sick and tired, we want to be your doctors. So I want to talk a little bit more about fatigue. We talked a little bit about electrolytes earlier. Let me cover that because a lot of these sugary sports drinks, people say, well, I'm going to drink this to replenish my energy. There's so many chemicals in there. I'm not even going to argue the fact that they're marketing to people that I don't think really need it. But I want you to think about what else can I do aside from spending money on neon-colored sports drinks. You want to replenish the right way. Now, most exercises, you get away. If you get away from doing the right things and eating right, you're going to have a problem. But if you're just drinking water after a workout, you should be fine. If you're an endurance athlete, anyone training for a marathon, playing hours of tennis in the hot sun, you might need to put a little extra effort into replenishing the minerals that you lost as you sweat it out. Now, electrolytes come in standard sports drinks and energy bars, but they're usually accompanied by a bunch of calories, added sugar, chemicals, dyes, additives, artificial sweeteners. You really don't need a whole lot to replenish those vitamins and minerals. You want to do the whole food approach. So, sodium. We always told us sodium is bad, besides salt is bad. But it's an electrolyte that we lose at the highest concentration when we sweat. That's why when you sweat, it tastes salty. Sweat helps the body hold on to water. It keeps you hydrated for longer periods of time. Still, there's no need to down an entire bag of pretzels or something really salty after that. You can easily replace about 800 milligrams of sodium lost in 2 pounds of sweat during a hard hour-long workout simply by eating something like, quarter teaspoon of air-dried sea salt. Put it on your salad. Put it in your soups. Now, be careful, again, because a lot of times they'll say replace your sodium with white table salt. That's junk. You want to use air-dried sea salt. Chloride. It's usually paired with sodium chloride, right? That's how you get it. And chloride is really important too. But you're going to get plenty of it in other sources as well. You can do things like olives, seaweeds, rye. Rye has gluten in it. Not a big fan of rye, but you can do that if you wanted to. Tomatoes, lettuce, celery. So if you want to replenish your electrolytes, all you got to do is something simple is have a salad. Have a banana. Add some extra apple cider vinegar to it. Organic, raw apple cider vinegar is loaded with electrolytes. So if you want to make your own sports drink, take some water, a tablespoon or two of apple cider vinegar, add about a quarter teaspoon of air-dried sea salt to it. Rockin', man. Is it going to taste as good as the sugary sweet junk? Probably not. You're going to be a lot healthier gazillion times. I think gazillion's a word. I'm not sure. I just made that up. Potassium. It's a big one. Potassium-rich post-workout snacks. Fresh fruit, melons, raisins, prunes. During an hour of hard work, really hard working for an hour, you lose about 200 to 600 milligrams of potassium. Now, potassium is necessary for heart function, cell function. It regulates blood pressure. It prevents bone loss. It helps prevent kidney stones. It helps with muscle contracture. Pretty important stuff. If you eat a medium banana, you're looking at about 400 to 600 milligrams of potassium. Other whole foods, maybe baked potato, sweet potato, green leafy vegetables, spinach, kale, peas, beans, avocados. You should be eating about an avocado a day anyway, because avocados are relatively inexpensive. They're really good and they're high in good fats, loaded with vitamins, minerals, and nutrients. So if you don't like avocados, maybe you like guacamole. By the way, that's what guacamole is made with, if you didn't know that. A lot of people don't know that. What I do is I take an avocado, cut it in half, add a little salt to it. Sometimes I'll add some olive oil just for fun. Add more fat to my diet, and I'll just eat the avocado. Really good for you. Makes you feel full. Relatively inexpensive. You can usually get an avocado for $1 or less, which is a whole lot cheaper than a cup of coffee, even cheap stuff. And you feel good about it. Magnesium. Most of us are deficient in magnesium. It's one of the supplements I recommend people consider looking at. I say people should always take vitamin D3. About 5,000 milligrams, 5,000 international units a day. If you're not in the sun, if you are in the sun, you probably don't need any. In the summer. In the winter, you can't get enough sun because of the angle of the earth. Magnesium, probably something you want to consider looking at if you're not eating a good diet. But how do you fix that? Eat a good diet. Green leafy vegetables, beans, nut butters, almond butter, cashew butter, lentils. Magnesium helps fight fatigue. And when you're low on magnesium, your body demands more oxygen and energy. During physical activity, you're more tired after working out, and so you really want to consider putting magnesium into your diet. Now, if you're going to take a magnesium supplement, be careful. Because if you take too much magnesium, you'll have loose bowels. That's what they make milk of magnesia out of. Oh, that's where that word comes from. So too much magnesium is bad for you. It can give you diarrhea. And that's how you can tell if you're taking too many supplements, by the way. In most cases, you're going to get diarrhea. And that means your bowels aren't absorbing any more of the nutrients. And so you reach what's called your bowel tolerance. You can only tolerate so much of something. Vitamin C is a good example, until you get diarrhea. Magnesium is another one. And don't take a bunch of it all at once. Spread it out throughout the day. I disagree with doctors that say, I'm going to give you 50,000 international units of vitamin D2, which is the synthetic version, which is junk, and I'm going to give it to you once a week. No, you got to take it every day. You can only absorb so much of anything. And if you overdo it, that becomes an issue. You're just passing it out through your bowels. So, folks, it's important, if you are burned out, look for the signs. Consider adrenal fatigue. If it is adrenal fatigue or thyroid problems, there are certain supplements that are going to help tremendously, and there are certain things you have to stop doing. I always tell people when it comes to health, most of it is passive, not active. You have to not do something. So eat a good diet. If your stomach is acting up, if you're having acid reflux, have your stomach pulled down away from the diaphragm. I have a good article about that on my website. It's called GERD, Gastroesophageal Reflux Disease article. And if you want to come see us as a patient, we have offices in Marietta, Duluth, and Stockbridge. We would love to have the opportunity to be your doctors. If you want to make an appointment, go to my website, drjoeesposito.com, or just Google Dr. Joe with the number one Dr. Joe in the world, and we'll set you up a time to come see us. Be ready to make some changes, though, because if I take a patient on, I don't want to get you out of pain. I want to get you well. So if you have neck pain, back pain, shoulder pain, numbness, tingling, I get that. And people love coming to our chiropractors because we do really good in that field. Most chiropractors do. But we also want to fix other things. We want to fix pinched nerves that don't feel pain. We want to get your stomach working. Maybe your foot's out of alignment, your shoulder, your wrist. We want to check everything and put together a protocol specifically for you. So if you want to make an appointment, we accept most major medicals, car accidents, sports injuries, Medicare. Folks, if you've ever been in a car accident and the car was damaged, you were damaged 100% of the time. Go to my website, drjoeesposito.com, or just Google Dr. Joe. You can make an appointment online. You can give us a call. If you have questions about what's covered, what's not covered, what's going to happen in the first visit, we are more than happy to give you as much information as we can to make it as easy as possible for you to be a patient. I teach my doctors all the time, we have to be accessible to the patients because they're the ones that we're here to serve. So again, my website, drjoeesposito.com. If you want to order supplements, my books, you have questions, send them to me through the website. We want to be your doctors. Give us that opportunity to prove to you that we can help you get well and stay well. Folks, thanks for listening. I'm Dr. Joe Esposito. We'll catch you next time. Joe Esposito will 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 catch you next time. Joe